This definitely turned out to be a bad idea. I definitely regret starting this, but we've there was a point where we should have stopped, but let's keep going and see what happens. Aw, poor Red barely does any fucking damage. Still know if that is Aerith, but Aerith is in the back row. Yeah, thus is the curse of getting a new party member while in the middle of a dungeon. Is he doesn't he's expected to be used, but unfortunately we don't really have the opportunity to kit him up the same way we do with the other characters. Yeah, don't know what I was thinking. I might actually go ahead and decide, like, okay, and here's a good place to go ahead and put this playthrough on hiatus, or something like that. On the other hand, I think maybe if I do, like, what is this guy doing? They're, like, headbanging in there. I feel like maybe if I do, like, at least an hour per week, maybe I can make it through at a good bit. Oh, shit. Surprise butt sex. No. Anyway. Going up. I like how it's like, yeah, no boss fight. It's just like, yeah, they ambushed you in the enclosed little open space of the elevator, so you're kind of screwed. You just kind of have to go along with it. I'm surprised they didn't try and put Red in handcuffs. We will see later that Red is capable of standing on his hind legs. So this is the second time that we've had a first-hand confrontation with the President Shinra. President of the Shinra. With our main characters. Earlier it was at the power plant, before Cloud met Aerith. Eresu. Getting that backstory. And Red knows what he's fucking talking about, because Red's a cool guy. So once again, we're getting this build-up of a classical, of a classic Final Fantasy archetype, where we're having a confrontation at the top of the castle with the evil Emperor. He's going, here's my big evil plan that I have in mind of how I'm gonna summon Cthulhu, right? We've seen this before. It's building itself up in like unfamiliar trappings, but like we've seen this. We're familiar with how this goes. Like, think back to Final Fantasy IV or Final Fantasy VI, where there's a whole scene where you have, like, dinner with the evil Emperor, and, like, try and, like, get an understanding of, like, what his motivation is. Why was that in lowercase? Capitalize the first letter of your sentence. It's because he was, like, finishing a sentence, but it's still kind of weird. So this is how you get this sense of the same kind of thing we've been led to expect. It's like, you can almost think of, like, in classic Final Fantasy games where, like, the evil emperor, the evil king, has like a secret agenda where like he's trying to take over the world with his evil army, but actually he's trying to like summon chaos or something like that. And here we get those seeds being planted of what does he really want? They're not just like money-grubbing corporate executives. The president, the evil king, has a plan where he wants to use some kind of magical energy in order to imbue himself with, or something like that. You could almost see, like, all along, his secret plan is to harness the power of the Mako energy in order to summon chaos, or turn himself into, like, a demagogue, or something like that. You can see where this plot is kind of going at this point. And more than anyone else, the president of the Shinra is Barrett's antagonist. Barrett is the one who has a grudge against the Shinra. Barrett is the one who's like, ah, those fucking money-grubbing bastards. Because Barrett is the leader of Avalanche. What a fucking asshole. That's such a good line. So we just had this, like, in-person confrontation where now, like, the evil king has all the power. And we've been in prison, but, like, we had that first-hand confrontation with him in person. So, you get a choice of who you talk to first. Whoever you talk to first gets relationship points. There's actually not a glitch, but an exploit at this point where you can talk to Tifa over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, and basically, like, just max out your relationship values with her. So if you want to romance Tifa, this is the moment where you can kind of break the entire system. But also, take a look at the character's body language here. You have Aerith, who's laying back, kind of stiff as a board, with her arms, like, in front of her. And we have Tifa, who's lounging back with her legs crossed, her foot tapping, all impatient. You can very clear, again, even though these are just shitty little Lego block chibi models, there's such a sense of personality being conveyed. It's like how, it reminds me of in classic theater, where actors had to over-exaggerate their body their body language and shout their lines so that the audience members in the back at the rafters could see their performance and understand what's going on. It's melodramatic, but it's appropriate considering the context. You take like a Shakespearean play and put it on a camera set, on a movie set with a close-up camera, and it's not appropriate. But you put it on a stage with like an audience of dozens to hundreds of people all looking at a stage, which back in Shakespeare's day, the stage was in the middle of a room. There was no fourth wall. They were in the middle of a platform, surrounded on all sides by a circle of the audience. So they had to gesticulate wildly in order to convey the portrayal to every single corner of the room. And if the performance was bad, they would get heckled. Like, audiences back then didn't give a fuck. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. The point is, because of the limited technological scope of the PlayStation 1, they have to exaggerate with cartoonish proportions and very explicit body language in order for the intended emotion to come across. And it does! Yeah, Red 13! Yeah, he's my boy! Anyway, we're gonna look at Aerith first. You safe? I love their chemistry. Look at Tifa. Like, excuse me? Bitch, I'll scratch your eyes out. Oh no! You almost get the impression that, like, Aerith is, like, embarrassed. She's like, oh shit, I wouldn't have said that if I knew you were there. Oh, I see how it is. Oh, now it's like, okay, we're changing the fucking subject real quick. Kingdom Hearts. You see it? Foreshadowing. Kingdom Hearts. Unlock. Key. Keyblade. Kingdom Hearts. Fuck you. Where did you learn this exactly? Were these like your mom's last words to you or something? It's a metaphor. Prophets always speak in metaphors. So we're getting more seeds of, like, the extent of Aerith's spiritual aspect of her character. Your bio mom. So now we're getting a real insight into Aerith's, like, motivations. Because up until now, she's been, you know, she's been sassy, she's been quirky, she's been in control, uptown girl. But now you get more insight into, like, she's got a burden on her because of her heritage. She has expectations that don't necessarily come from external expectations. It's more like, you know, an ancestral kind of instinct. The way birds migrate south, even though they're never taught how or told why, they know that they're supposed to do it. In that same way, Aerith, as an ancient, as a Cetra, feels this calling that she can't put into words and can't really explain, because it goes beyond the material. It's again, she's a very spiritual character, but not in that traditional kind of flighty wife, white mage kind of way that you expect from traditional Final Fantasy kind of story. Like, compare Yuna, which is a game that came out after this, and is way more fucking traditional and trite compared to how Aerith is portrayed. We got to know Aerith as a person before we learned what her role in the story would be. Anyway, now we can talk to Tifa. Yeah, so you can just keep repeating that dialogue over and over and over and over again, and you just get infinite relationship points with Tifa. Yeah, Red 13, my boy! Yeah, they're just both sleeping, I guess. I don't know what's going on over there. Oh, yeah, and you can get a relationship point with Barrett, too, by checking on him first. That's right. Barrett... The more the plot stops being about Shinra and starts being about this other shit, the more hilarious Barrett gets. Whatever. We gotta stop him. You want to join Avalanche, a weird lion dog? Red don't give a fuck. Yeah. You take the bed, Tifa. I'll sleep in the toilet. Need a transition for the music, I guess. Okay, that's what I wanted to avoid. Yeah, screw this. Kind of spoils the mood. Look at that. Claw mark. Claw marks. So here is where the other shoe drops. This is the moment where the game completely changes. Because up until this point, things were actually kind of standard in terms of what you expect from a traditional fantasy RPG setup, especially for Final Fantasy, right? Because up until this point, it has been subversive. I've talked about that. How, like, instead of it being the Heroes of Light, they're eco-terrorists. Instead of it being an evil empire, it's an evil mega-corporation. It's a cyberpunk setting instead of a fantasy setting, an industrial setting. But it's still been the same formula. It's still been the same recipe, even if the ingredients are different. It's still, broadly speaking, a story about, like, a ragtag group of underdog heroes fighting against the evil empire. You could see where the plot was going based on previous experience. You could see how the plot was going in a direction that is along the lines of what we've seen before. Again, the ingredients are different, and the way it was different was very interesting, but you still knew what to expect. You still knew, okay, our heroes are going to, fight against the big evil bad guy. We're gonna have, it's still been, the ragtag group of heroes, the evil army filled with faceless foot soldiers, an elite squad of mini-bosses, a high table of generals, or in this case, corrupt executives, and an evil king, aka president, at the top, ruling over everything. And while... And again, you see these hints being laid that on the surface it looks like they're just being money-grubbing, world-conquering bad guys, but the president had deeper plans about wanting to find the promised land and exploit this magical energy. You could almost see the hypothetical end boss where the evil president of the Shinra uses the Mako energy of the Promised Land to summon chaos, or to empower himself to become chaos in some way. And the final boss would be against the evil Dragon King, or what have you, right? But then, what happens? Motherfucker gets shanked off screen during this horror scene of a moment. Where, what the fuck is going on? This Gray Fox-esque, slasher aftermath of these bodies just having been way laced, this trail of blood, claw marks on the walls, leading up to the main fucking antagonist of the game being stabbed through the back off screen. This is not what we thought it was going to be. And if it's not what we thought it was going to be, then what is it? Sephiroth. All of a sudden, the focus of the story is shifting. We can see it happening right in front of us. Yeah, so we'll get to that in a second, but I've gone out of my way to mention this. Sephiroth has only been mentioned by name 4 times before this moment. He was mentioned by the President Shinra, by Cloud as a kid, and some other times, right? What do we know about Sephiroth? We don't actually know anything. We can intuit that he's a high-ranking member of Soldier, like the President mentioned, to the point where even Cloud has heard of and idolized him. Sephiroth was the reason he wanted to go off and join Soldier. So we know some things, but we really haven't been told anything about him. And now, all of a sudden, Sephiroth is the only thing anyone is fucking talking about. All of a sudden, he comes in and kills the main bad guy and completely hijacks the entire narrative. Suddenly, everyone is talking about Sephiroth. Suddenly, that event completely redefines the focus of the story from what we've been led to expect to now being about the mystery of Sephiroth and who he is and what he wants. Cloud and Tifa seem to know who Sephiroth is. Tifa even says he's alive, so she seems to know something. And Cloud seems to, even though Sephiroth just killed the main antagonist, Cloud seems to know that his intentions are not benevolent. And Rufus's appearance here, the president's son, the prince to the throne, it almost feels like him coming in is a desperate attempt to keep the focus on Shinra. Like, as the audience, our intrigue now completely belongs to Sephiroth. Anything we felt about Shinra as the main villains of the story has been taken away from us and given to Sephiroth. Now he's the person we care about. And so all of a sudden, Rufus, the prince of the evil empire, is coming and going like, no. The story's still about Shinra though. Care about us. Pay attention to us, you guys. But we don't. We just want to know about what the fuck's going on with Sephiroth. And that's gonna define how the Shinra operate in the narrative going forward. Kind of desperately trying to catch up and still be relevant as a force of antagonism against the heroes. It's really fucking interesting. I love this scene though, by the way. So, something that always stood out to me is Cloud is the only one who introduced himself by name. Rufus only knows Cloud's name. And he was the first one to speak. He's standing in the middle, obviously. Think about this from Rufus's perspective. He's coming into this story after Sephiroth has hijacked the plot. And he's trying to assert himself as the new main bad guy, and this is the main group that's like working against Shinra. Think about what this introduction is like from Rufus's perspective. I always find that very interesting. Think about how fast that was. Palmer just told him, oh, your dad's dead. Well, guess I'm president now, because that's how presidents work. Let me hit my mark here. I find it very interesting to think about Rufus and his relationship to Avalanche and our main characters. Because the previous President Shinra seemed very in control of the situation. Whatever Avalanche did, Shinra was one step ahead of them under the previous president. He was laying traps for them. He captured them. He was what he kind of knew Avalanche's game and knew how to play them so that he always ended up looking good and in a position of power. Rufus is sitting here kind of, it almost comes off to me like he's trying to impress them, and they're not impressed. They had hatred for the old president, maybe even fear, and part of that came with respect, as, okay, you're the big bad guy we're gonna take down. They do not respect Rufus. And I think that informs a lot of his actions throughout the game, interestingly enough. Because we, as the audience and the main characters, do not give a shit about Rufus. All of a sudden, Sephiroth is the guy, is the dude. Rufus is just here trying, desperately. No, I'm the bad guy now. I'm the main bad guy. My dad's dead, so I'm the big bad guy. Pay attention to me. And they're literally just dismissing him. I'll go. And Cloud's literally going like, I'll take care of this guy by myself. Think about the way this being presented versus the way it could be presented. This could be like a Dante and Virgil moment, where Cloud is like, I'm gonna take him on one-on-one, mano-a-mano. This is something I have to do myself. No, Cloud is presenting it as, I'll take care of him, you guys get out of here. I'll deal with this.